How's everybody doing today? Good. Um, Great weekend for us coming up here. We have Senior Day with 20 seniors going to have their last game. They're going to play in the Swamp for us. So I think that's always a pretty special moment for them guys that have put a lot of time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the program, and their last opportunity to play at home in front of the home crowd in this stadium is always a special day. We also have a salute to our armed forces this week. We're going to recognize 27 members on our annual saluting those who serve game, and so I think that's also a very special deal because I know the families. We're so grateful for all those that unselfishly serve our country, spend time away from their families, and sacrifice a lot in their lives, so all of us get to have the freedoms we enjoy and get the opportunity to live our dreams that I know I certainly get to live my dream every day, being the head coach here at Florida, and so I'm very thankful for all of them. Game itself, injuries first. We got Kyle Trask had a fracture in his foot, so he'll be out, be possible for a return for the bowl game with that injury. Brett Hagee had an ankle sprain, so he's going to be questionable for the game this weekend. Could be close. Freddie Swain had an ankle sprain, and he's expected to play this weekend for us, according to the trainers. Brad Stewart has a quad strain, and on those, again, when you have the muscle pulls, He'll be day to day, and we'll see as the week goes on. It's talking to our trainers. They feel he could be ready to go by Saturday, but with muscle pulls, you don't know. Happened during practice last week, so I miss anybody you need to know about? Okay. Good challenge for us this week with Idaho coming to town. This is their last game of the season for them, so they're gonna, they get treated like a bowl game, let it all go. Not hold nothing back and just throw everything at you on offense, defense, and kicking game. So we gotta come out, be ready to play hard, be sound. One of the things I really want to see us continue to do is improve our performance. Like I said, you're always getting better or getting worse. Our preparation of practice, our approach to the game. We have an early kickoff, so our approach to doing that, preparing, building up for kickoff, and coming and executing for 4 quarters. So a great challenge for us that way. They have some good players, good running back. Coach's son, a quarterback. So offensively, knowing the system, and those guys tend to be winners. Number 3 on defense is a disruptive player, can make plays all over the field. Plays hard. Dad's a former NFL star. So and then their special teams, pretty dynamic special teams, blocked a bunch of kicks and have scored a bunch of touchdowns on special teams this year. So. A team that's certainly going to come in and give us all that we can handle. So, questions? And yes, I cannot get rid of this cough and head cold right now. I'm getting about had it with that.
Dan, you mentioned Saturday that Kadarius is obviously a guy you'd like to get the ball more. How challenging is it, I guess? You made the comment that you never quite know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, it tends to turn out positive for us. Right? Like I said, it's exciting when he touches the ball. Doesn't always mean it's going to be positive for us, but it's certainly going to be exciting. But it is. We try to utilize him. I think one of the things he's really worked on is like I said, is getting better as a wide receiver. Where he can catch the ball within the norm, and make plays a lot more even within the normal scheme of our offense, more than designed get it to plays to him, whether putting him at quarterback or handing it to him or one of those deals. And so I think that'd be great, getting him the ball more within just the basic framework of our offense.
Have you had a guy like that that's a little bit unpredictable in your past? And
I've had a lot of guys that are very unpredictable.
Unpredictable with
Right,
his
about 85 of them down in the locker room right now. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had a team that was. No, but I mean, we've had guys, they're athletes like that. Just I mean, Percy Harvin can do things, make special things happen. Chris Rainey, when we were here before, can make special things happen. You snap them the ball, and I mean, put the ball in their hands, and something exciting happens.
Yeah, following up on that, I mean, what was the epiphany to decide to double his workload? I think he was averaging just a few touches coming into the game.
Really nothing. I think one of the things we did was probably scripted earlier. I've just put it in your opening script. A touch for him was probably the difference, and I think probably two of the touches were in the regular framework of the offense. I mean, they weren't get it 2 plays. He was rotating in at receiver and caught a couple of those passes. So I don't know. It was more attention to put the ball in his hands, but like I said, I mean, I'd like to see more of it like it was. I think at least 2 of those. Both his catches were just in the regular framework of the offense.
But talking like Thomas, I mean, is that hard as a coach? I mean, you guys like control, right?
For guys like that, I mean, we coach them up. I mean, well, here's where we're blocking, here's where it's supposed to go, and he just goes. So, yeah, sometimes he stays on the same side of the field.
So you were talking about kind of getting on the defense and all that. How do you? I mean, we're all evolving as human beings, obviously, but how do you kind of curb that tendency? I mean, you've been coaching for 10 years. I mean, how do you kind of change?
Me? I don't know. I am who I am, so I'm that way. But you're always trying to get yourself better, in what's happening on the course of the game, and and just improve yourself and make sure when I am with them, which most of the time I am. I mean, hey, this is what they're going to do here. I'm probably a lot more helpful in what I think is coming from the offense than what call we should call to stop it, if that makes sense. So make sure I'm just communicating a lot of that stuff to them. You know what I mean? And say, hey, Todd, they're going to take a shot here. They're going to throw a screen in this situation. This is going to be a run. This is a 2 down. Hey, they're going to try to, they're only going to try to get half the yardage here on 3rd down. So don't play it as a 3rd and long, play it as a 3rd and medium type of deal. Those type of things is a lot of the communication with the defense.
A couple things. First, following up on KT, was part of it just realizing that you could trust him if he, did improvise?
Who's that, Kadarius?
Yeah.
Yeah, I trust him. I'm concerned with ball security, and also though him understanding the scheme. And if we got a great play, you just got to run where you're supposed to run, and we got a great play. Don't just take off and run somewhere else. But also don't overcoach him to hamper him from doing that. You know what I mean? So we just spent a lot of time just showing him the reads and where we expect the ball to go, and go try to do it.
Felipe talked about on that 4th and 1 from the 1 yard line, he couldn't see the signal caller, so he just called his own number in the huddle. What was the play call? And
it was the same play, so he called the right one because that's what we signaled. So he's a little flaky sometimes. So, but we'd run it the same play the play before. It was just our quarterback off tackle play, and so we signaled run the same play, and he ran the same play. So if he had run it right the 2 previous times, so he wouldn't have had to run it on 4th down.
How have you kind of seen his confidence grow to get to a point where he feels comfortable, going back into the huddle, calling his own number in that sort of situation?
Well, I think it's good. I mean, I don't know if he was even looking, because I think he was yelling to us to run the same play, and we called the same play. So, but which is good. I like that in Kai, that he wants the ball in his hand on a game-winning play to win the game. I mean, I always think that's huge. That you want guys that want the ball in their hands to win the game, and it just shows their confidence in themselves and their belief in themselves that they can make the play to win the game. Sorry.
Coach, you said before he ran that play, he said he was kind of pissed, so he wanted to run it. And I'm just wondering, do you think he might play better when he's ticked off?
Well, I don't know. I didn't ask him what he was mad about, whether he was mad he didn't run it the right way the play before or that he didn't get in the end zone. But, yeah, I mean, at times it can help. I mean, I guess if you're trying to run somebody over, it's good to be angry. But in managing a game, you got to make sure you balance the two. I've always said that with quarterbacks. I mean, you gotta be able to use your emotions all over the place. You know what I mean? You gotta go pump up the crowd and get crazy and go excited, and the next play be completely locked in on making a three-way check and changing protections and making a read and go through your progression. So, you got to be able to control all your different personalities and emotions.
Dan, the last 4 games, why do you think you guys have gotten off to such slow starts?
I don't know. I mean, just don't. Not playing well, I guess, or getting adjusted to the speed, translating practice to games. I mean, you practice stuff. It's not like people are doing a lot of things we haven't practiced. It's coming out, and they're doing stuff we practice, but just maybe getting adjusted to the speed of the game, getting from practice to a game, even though we do a lot against each other. That'd be my only thought.
And some of the freshmen that haven't played, are any of them getting close to being able to play? Maybe you'll play them here at the end? Or?
Well, this type of game, right now, in our next 3 games, this is an opportunity for guys to go play because you're not limited on who can dress. In the SEC games, you're very limited on the number of guys that can even dress out for the game and limited on the number of guys that can play in the game within the league rules. So the next 3 games, we don't have those limitations on us. So there's going to be more opportunity for those guys situationally to get into a game, whether it's special teams or whatever the situation is.
And any plan yet for Emory, or you kind of play that by ear as you go along here?
We always have a plan for Emory.
I thought you had an interesting comment Saturday about things are never as bad as they seem or as good as they seem.
That's generally true in life, isn't it?
Yeah. How tough is that to deal with, particularly when you're talking about fans and expectations and the pressure that can create?
Well, I think it's important for us to pay attention to because I don't. One, I'm a little bit older. 2, I'm not out and about all the time. But you got to pay attention to it, because as a coach, for personal side as a coach, my wife and all the coaches' wives and their kids are out in the community, and I'm sure they're hearing all kinds of, the same type of chatter. So you got to pay attention to that stuff. And our players, I mean, they're out around campus. I don't go to class every day. Usually when I'm around campus, I'm running, and it's early in the morning, so people aren't always out. So, I don't get out around campus all that much. I'm never out in public all that much during the season because we work a lot. And so I don't always hear it. And then the other tough part, because I'm always in the middle of the reality, that it is, if everybody's, if everybody's being patted on the back, I don't know that because I'm looking at, here's the things we need to fix. And if everybody's like, boy, we're the worst thing in the world, I'm looking and saying, hey, here's the things we got to fix. It's on a day like a lot of times after a win, you're going into the team meeting, hey, we're not as good as we think we are, and here's why. And after a loss, hey, we're not as bad as we think we are, here's why. But that outside of the building isn't, the perception is either, right, we're unbelievable or we're the worst thing in the world. And, we're always kind of, it's more, it goes more like this inside the building and outside the building. So, but you got to just monitor it and understand these are young kids and help them, coach them through all the different things that go on.
When you're coming into a new job, is there ever a concern with seniors in particular? A freshman doesn't really have a choice. He's going to be with you for 2, 3, 4 years, but the seniors only have 1 year. Is there ever a concern that maybe the seniors don't buy in and some of the younger guys follow along with that? And then this senior class, how have they been, your first class here?
Well, they've bought in. There's always a concern. But one of the first team meetings of them, as soon as everybody buys in, the sooner we'll win. And, if the seniors want to win, then buy in. But as soon as everyone buys in, we have the opportunity to win, but you don't unless that happens. So that was one of my first team meetings, and I think the guys understood that. And I think everybody's really bought in to our program. You know, I've had a couple seniors say, you know, which I think is a tremendous compliment, that they're like, Coach, I wish we had you here for more of my career. I wish the program was this way for more than 1 year, or I wish I could come back and have another year to be a part of the program again. I think those are great compliments.
And did you see that early on? You brought CeCe Jefferson and Martez to SEC Media Days. Did you see that early on from them kind of buying in and then bringing younger players with them as well?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I like I've said, it's from the beginning, I've never seen much resistance. You know, I've seen a lot of guys trying to figure out how we want it done. But, which is a very different thing. You know, I mean, I can't say from day one, hey, they've done everything exactly the way we wanted to do it. Because there's a lot of figuring that out. But I've never seen them not try to do it the way that we want them to do it. And so I think it helps when the seniors buy in. And I mean, I imagine that's why we're having some success right now. If the older guys didn't buy in, it would just take a little bit longer until the younger guys were up and playing, and they were the ones buying in and making all the plays. And so I think it's a big help that they did to allow us to, you know, have some success this season.
Dan, I know the unpredictable nature of football. You're no stranger to that. But what would you have done if Grimes doesn't catch that tip pass? It's 3rd and 7. It would have been 4th and 7. Because after that, you outgained him 241 to 14 yards. I got that. Something like that.
Yeah, after that play. That was a big play in the game. You know, it was really, to be honest with you, after they scored the touchdown, the stats were pretty close to right. I mean, after they went up 31-14, the stats were very lopsided. And I think that was just a big play because, I don't know, he might have had to punt in that situation. I don't know. I know watching it, it was interesting. It was kind of a pretty well busted play all the way around.
Do you ever look back at plays like that and say, just the odd nature of football, what happened after that play?
Yeah. It's good to be Florida, but, you know, we get good players, the ball tends to bounce your way more, and you go hard sometimes, and guys just made a play. And so I think that play, I think getting the first down there was critical for us, and that really, hard to say that play changed the game, but that first down in that situation certainly did. Because we started that drive 1st and 15 again with another penalty, you know, and that converted, you know, I think that converted that first down. And if I'm not mistaken, from that point on, and that's where you see the stats go, we didn't have any self-inflicted penalties, any self-inflicted problems on offense. So, you know, part of the point is, what if we didn't do self-inflicting stuff the rest of the day? Would the whole day have just been that way? You know, and if we can execute at a high level, look at what we can accomplish when we're not shooting ourselves in the foot.
Spurrier would say God was smiling on the Gators. Just
yeah, well, I mean, does every day. You watch the sunset. You can sit up here and watch the sunset and the Gator sunset every day. Excuse me.
You know, these games, these 12th games that the NCAA instituted, I guess 06, you were here when they tend to be chances for some certain players. I mean, is there going to potential Javier Estepenen moment in this one or anything like that?
Do we let him run the ball or something?
For a touchdown.
I don't have any of that schemed up yet. But it is only Monday, and no one's been in my office asking for that yet. So,
Tim Higgins?
Huh? Who?
Tim Higgins.
Tim Higgins got in the game, right? Okay. I do think, like I said, there's more opportunities for guys to get in the game because of the people that we can dress. You can play 70 at an SEC game. So that means there's never mind. If you just go off scholarship, there's 15 scholarship kids that can't play in a game. When you don't have those restrictions, you have the opportunity for guys to get in different moments, and it actually helps a lot on special teams this week, where you can, when you're looking at the depth on special teams, where you can actually look and say, hey, this is the guy that's a 2 or a 3 on special teams that does a great job. We'd love him to be in that position, but when we're traveling 70, he doesn't make the travel list. He's like 75th or 78th on the travel list. So you got to kind of put another starter into that backup role on special teams that you can put the guys where you want them to be.
But are those moments, are those fun moments for the team
I think it's
and for the players?
I think it's always great for everybody. I mean, guys put so much work in. You know, and the reward to get into a game and play in a game and be out there in the swamp and get to play, I think, is a pretty special deal.
And one more thing on fun, Ryan Farr's third quarter routine. Have you? seen
Yeah,
it?
like I
What do you
watched
think
the
of that?
TV copy and saw that. I mean, they're kickers, right? Like they do their own victory on the sidelines. Did anybody catch that too? Did they do it on Saturday when we get into victory? Yeah, when we get into victory formation, they do their own like that. You know, I mean, just you know, as long as he snaps the ball, runs hard down the field.
Josh Hammond says they have a lot of time on their hands.
They do. You know what I mean? I mean, they do. I mean, you're a practice. I mean, I always look at like a long snapper. I'm like, okay, well, so he walks out there. Every time he walks out, his job is to either snap the ball and get big on PAT field goal or snap the ball and run down the field and cover, right? The guy on the left and right to him have to know about that. That's like 1/100th of what they have to know for the game. And I'm like, I mean, like that's all he has to do. Like, everybody else is worried about all the other things. And so I'm like, just make sure you take care of your business. But have fun. I didn't know what the behind the back. I wasn't impressed. The leg part was good, I think, but the behind the back, I think he lost it there.
Dan, speaking of specialists, Evan, is he dealing with a little bit of leg fatigue, or was the plan to kind of try to pin him back on kickoffs?
No, I think, you know, I mean, just for him, there's a fine line between hang time and distance. You know, when you're playing a dynamic returner, you don't want to give up. I know we'd love to kick it out of the end zone, not even let the guy touch the ball. But you don't want to miss hit one of those and him get it off a line drive and be coming back in a hurry before you get coverage down the field. So that's one of the things you can talk to him about. He's like, hey, you know, should I try driving it to drive it out? I'm like, no, just go consistent. And we did, because if you look at you know, field position after a kickoff, we had better field. We didn't return a kick and had better field position after a kickoff than they did. So the fair catch strategy would have been better for them than trying to return it and on every single kick. So I think that's more it than. So he was trying to make some excuse of why he missed the field goal, but I wasn't having any of it. So you could just see he pulled out of it a little bit, opened up a little bit too much, and just pushed it off to the right. Very much like my driver. Seen that swing before many a time. Good deal. Thank you, guys. Why is that not frowned upon?